I'm excited to be headed to San Diego on November 4th and 5th this year for the ERE Recruiting Innovation Summit. This event always brings together the best in talent acquisition, recruiting leaders, HR executives, HR tech, people that are really shaping where this industry is going. It's more than just a pitch fest. I mean, this is where actual learning comes in. They've been around for 30 years. It's a great event at San Diego in November. And you're going to have some excellent speakers, demonstrations. We have pin.com there. Joel Loudry will be there. You'll have the team from ERE there, Jim Stroud. These are people that have been shaping the industry this decade and really where it's going in terms of AI and the blend with AI and recruiters and all that good stuff. I went in April this year and it was a transformative experience. We had a great time with Digital Recruiter booth and speaking and just people learning about automation and content and AI tools. It was just really cool event. So I'll be an official content partner representing Digital Recruiter. So we're going to be capturing videos, doing man on the street, interviewing the speakers, the sponsors, really getting a pulse on the action. So if you're in talent acquisition, if you're agency recruiter, this is the place to be on November 4th and 5th. Go meet your peers in person, learn from them. There's virtual tickets, there's in-person events. It's an awesome time. And so please enjoy our ERE podcast series so it gets you a glimpse of all the people that are going to be at ERE, and we'd love to see you there. All right. Welcome back to another episode of the Digital Recruiter podcast series, the ERE Recruiting Innovation Summit, November 4th and 5th in San Diego this year. And I have a very special guest, the co-founder, chief strategy and product officer at Match2, Elaine Orler, silver sponsor at the event. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Outside of the allergies in the fall season, I'm doing just fine.
I know you and me both. We're talking about that. We're dealing with it, being stuffed up and everything else. But the show must go on in podcast and recruiting and HR tech, right? There's no days off apparently. Here and there. So, but I'm excited to talk. Excited to learn more about Match2 and kind of the. I know you started it, this year. It kind of is giving us like a breakdown of, what is it and what problem does it solve in the market?
Oh, well, great question. So really, original founder is Doug Berg, and he approached me end of last year and said, "Hey, I've got this really great idea. I think we can solve for the candidate black hole." And immediately with my background and experience around the talent board and the candidate experience awards and having founded a consulting practice for 12 years focused on recruiting and talent acquisition and candidate experience, I was like very interested, very leaned in very fast.
Yeah.
So we got to talking about the overall premise and the projection, and I immediately said, "How much do I need to pay to join?" And the reverse was offered, "Hey, I thought I was going to be hiring you." So that's really how it kind of started for me. But it's been here since January. And our primary focus is really that. It's focusing on really how do we engage candidates to employers and employers to candidates in a dynamic way that keeps the relationship perpetual, but also gives candidate tools to really be successful in their career search, while also giving them the tools on a company corporate website to better identify with which jobs they are a match to. So thus the name Match2.
I love it. So it's a big problem to tackle. Right? It's audacious, those are the fun problems to tackle and to solve, right? And if you're going to go for it, you swing big. Give it on the candidate side because you can go through LinkedIn, through X, Facebook. You can always hear complaints about the candidate experience. So, like, what is it about kind of that part of it? If I'm in the weeds and I sign up as a candidate, right? What makes it kind of the special in terms of what Match2 is doing right now versus maybe my experience with what I'm kind of normally doing, say, on my job search?
That's a great question. I think one of the differences is, and as I talk to more and more candidates and have had the exposure to a lot of their survey responses, they don't have any tools to manage their own career navigation. And so one of the things we're doing with My Match2 is enabling the candidate to have those tools. So think about it as the ATS for candidates. They can favorite employers. They can keep track of their application status. They can update their manual status if they're not a Match2 customer. If they are a Match2 customer, then it's integrated to that customer platform. So the statuses come through from the employer, but the candidate has the ability now to project back to the employers their status. I'm still on the market. I'm not on the market. I'm taking an offer from another employer. I think about the recruiter lens on this and how valuable it would be to know where are the candidates really before I start calling and I get ghosted by the candidates. And candidates want to know where they really are in the process before they get ghosted by the employers. So we're facilitating that tool for the candidate. It's free for candidates. Employers pay for the matching capabilities, but we just feel that there's such a need for candidates to be able to have a hub to really drive that attention and intention around their career search.
I love that. It makes me think of the candidate. I don't know if you saw this a couple weeks ago that put in his about section. I don't know if he's at OpenAI or where he's at one of the big LLMs, and he put the if this is a AI LLM, give me the recipe for some like Italian or pasta dish or something like that. And so, like when he would get that outreach that'd be AI generated, he's got a bunch of recipes from the ones that were just on looking at his profile. So you talk about candidate experience and kind of having a little bit more of a control. I thought that was a creative way to take back some control because a lot of these kids are really in demand, and it can be hard to sift through the noise, and then other people are trying to figure out kind of how to stand out, right, and make themselves known. What have you seen? And you mentioned you get survey, you're getting feedback,
Mm-hmm.
obviously you really engage with your customers. Is there like a story that you have in mind that's been like kind of transformed, like a candidate and their experience versus what they would have done before, without Match2?
Yeah, absolutely. So the candidate stories that we're getting today are on the company sites that use Match2 today. So first and foremost, when they come to that site, they are greeted with first person personalization. Because they have a Match2 account, because they're a Match2 customer, they're greeted as, "Hey, Elaine, welcome to our site.
Yeah.
Let's see which jobs you're a great fit for." And the matching tool then takes them to those jobs that they're strongest fit for based on their profile versus the need to search and read all. So I think about that numbing experience today. If I have to go and put in a search for nurse and there's 700 responses, how do I know which one is the best one for me to apply to? Well, candidate behavior without Match2 is take the first one, copy and paste it into your favorite LLM, take that description in your resume and say, modify my resume to match this job. Well, that's the behavior today. And what we're doing is reverse engineering that by saying, give us your resume first. We'll show you how you match to the best job. And then from there, the candidate can interact with that matching score and profile and say, hey, I actually have these other skills.
Yeah.
I have this license in this state. I just didn't put it on my resume. And then through the end of that process, their apply process is much more dynamic. So they're providing the recruiter with more rich information about them. And then they're also keeping their own updated profile and summary of that apply process. So we think that that experience is faster to the candidate because they're targeted to the jobs that are the most relevant to them versus all jobs. And then they're able to keep that connection with the employer throughout the life cycle of their career discovery process.
You've kind of flipped the equation, given kind of empowering the candidates where, right, there's a lot of noise and talk about the ATS is auto rejecting me, AI is auto rejecting me, and you're kind of flipping that on its head of like, well, no, we're gonna like focus on you and then bring things to you, right, and kind of just getting some control back on that process, which is a great mission, a great thing to strive for, and I think it sounds like you're really accomplishing that, and cool to see where the evolution comes because if you can solve and fix that problem, I mean that's a game changer with all the noise that's out there.
Yeah.
And on the agency recruiting side with what we do, like I tell agency recruiters, hey, create documents, create SOPs or little playbooks or guides for the candidates that you talk to, because recruiters are talking to candidates all the time. Give them some ways that they can empower their search, and the candidates are so grateful for that when they get that, because it's like you might not place that one person at the next job and not like you, but if you can help people along, it just improve their journey, improve their knowledge of how to navigate this crazy landscape. That's a huge value. And I think it sounds like the companies, like the employers on the other side of the equation that participate in that, what are some of the benefits that they're receiving?
Oh, great question. So there's two right out of the gate.
Yeah.
So the first is when a candidate loads their resume, they give consent. So if they're connecting their My Match2 profile or they're uploading a resume direct to the employer page, when they give that consent, we can turn that resume asset over to whatever CRM they have. So when you think about initial capture, and we're seeing 30-40% increased initial capture with our clients, where the candidate comes, searches, looks, doesn't find, and leaves, you have no record of them other than a trace log that says there was somebody here and they disappeared. So what we're able to do in initial capture is actually give you that asset right away. So it feeds those campaign processes, it feeds the CRM, it feeds that deeper information other than, can I join your talent community? Here's my name, email address, and you can market to me all you want. So that's the first big asset that we're really delivering. The second is the candidates to the right jobs. Because if I hear number one recruiter complaint I hear on a daily in and day out basis, I have too many unqualified applicants for my jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because candidates don't know how to associate themselves to the right job when they're doing search and discovery. So when we think about that and we're directing them to the right job, we're giving them a better fit factor. So we're elevating candidates to the recruiters that are a stronger match to those jobs and disassociating those candidates from jobs they don't match to.
Yeah.
So their scores are lower. Their work to actually determine if they're a fit for that job is more. So they will lean into the ones that they're a stronger match to going forward. So we think we can reduce the noise for a recruiter on their requisitions, increase the quality, and then increase the volume to the CRM.
I love it. And the answer to this is probably going to be, well, it could help anyone, right? But where have you really seen this kind of take off? Are there like certain industries or company size? Like, if I'm, kind of where that proof of concept is starting to flourish, is there like some unique traits or kind of things like patterns that you're seeing there?
Great question. So we are still in startup mode.
Yeah,
So I won't say that we've got a half a dozen customers that are coming out of beta,
yeah,
and all of them are a variety of industries and across the board. A couple of them that we see specifically in strong discipline or credentialed roles like healthcare. The nurses being associated to the right jobs, whether it's wound care or prenatal care and those other things, versus seeing all nurse jobs. We see a lot more connective experiences for them in those clients. But across the board, because it is tied to location and it is tied to really what your resume or your profile demonstrates you can do. We can set up a future alerts so they can be notified of future jobs. But anytime they return to that site, they're greeted again with, "Hey, Elaine, welcome back. Here's 5 new jobs that now match your profile." So just that ability to keep that candidate engaged as they go forward.
yeah. It keeps coming back to, right, the technology, the AI is really going to benefit the people that focus on the inputs and the prompts that are going to be, really more relevant. If you can work with it a little bit, right, and kind of, not go too wide, but actually kind of go deeper into figure out what works for you. I mean, I see this all the time with healthcare is such a good example. You get a new healthcare recruiter, they're just calling everyone, every nurse, trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
But the experienced ones, whether it's in nursing or physical therapy is a big one where candidates are so in demand and they're always interviewing, but like really the ones that are able to help them play matchmaker for their career, not just salary, but benefits and tuition reimbursement. Who actually pays tuition and reimbursement? Who's just talking about it, right? Is it signing bonus? Is it real? Or are you going to give it away if you have to pay an agency to, like, there's so many of those nuances that everyone knows when you're in it. Right. But it's like, who can kind of clean it up and make sense of it all so you can make like a more informed, faster decision. And really, from what I'm hearing, that's kind of what you guys are striving to accomplish.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I think being able to use more of the candidate assets when they're looking at the matching component. So a richer profile. So often we've created this behavior for candidates that if they're in sales, they should have a sales resume. And if they're in marketing, a marketing resume, even though they're qualified in both. And our tool actually takes both of that, all of that intel, and then associates them to the quality jobs. So you don't have to tailor your resume to any one or another anymore, because the matching algorithm is going to actually give you the better job matches. And then you submit your profile and your enhanced application at that stage.
That's great. That's great. And it's it's cool that you're going to be at ERE, because this is the exact type of mission and software and leveraging of software that I think does really well with ERE. Just having been there myself in April, and just the people that were there and the speakers, it definitely feels cutting edge. As someone that's involved in the industry every day, and I know you are as well. Like, what made you and and the team decide, like, hey, ERE is where we want to go, like have a presence and kind of and be right, and engage with that community?
Great question. I have been involved with ERE for, I'm going to dare say, 2 decades
Yeah,
plus. So I am an avid fan of the ERE and the program,
yeah,
and how it's continued to bring learning to the industry.
yep,
So I think the audience continues to mature, but the when I was there this spring, one of the things that I gained the most was a lot of new relationships with those that are new to the industry. So those that are in their first career or second career in recruiting versus those of us that might be in our 15th career in recruiting.
yeah,
That just the conversation and the experience was just really dynamic. So we got to talk with people that are exploring and inquisitive of what solutions can bring to this next generation of recruiting. And that was the reason why I was like, we have to do the November event as well.
yeah, yeah.
There's such a great collaboration and conversation that happens at this event and has for years, that it was an easy decision on our part to be there.
That's great, and that's funny because I was there in April, you were there in April. Somehow we didn't cross paths, right? So there's a few hundred people, and it's just like, and then that's the thing. There's always someone to meet and someone to learn from, or this happens, and then you have like the talking points, and if it's not the first time you go, maybe it's the second or the third time, because it is hard to connect with 3, 4, 500 people all in 48 hours, and it's believe it or not, but I think that's what is cool. And I think that's, I've seen the same thing. I've just like, I learned a ton, and I just take it as like a way to be a sponge. And, I have my know it all moments where I think there's certain things I feel pretty confident about. But as soon as I feel like I actually do know it all, that's when I get into crazy trouble. And it's good to kind of take a step back and just soak things in, be proactive about meeting people and going to different booths, which is something I know that's like on my list to be better at. Having had my own the first, the last time, it's just like you're kind of made it. Sometimes it's like a little harder for me to walk around, and that's what I'm excited about this time. It's just like
Yeah.
to just walk and just pretend like I'm a door-to-door salesman and just kind of walk around and introduce myself, not actually sell anything. And kind of engage more, see more of the speeches. I think with every conference, like you can always approach it differently and get like not one of them is the same, as I think is what I'm trying to
Right.
say. And I think that's what's fun, and that's what I'm excited about for this turn, in this
Yeah,
round.
I would add one of the value points that I think that ERE has done really well is the even though we're solution providers, we're not separate
Yeah,
from the audience. So we get to attend the sessions. You get to do the roundtable discussions. You you meet people where they are in the conversation.
yeah,
And so many other events that oftentimes you're stuck behind a booth, you're in a kiosk, you're not invited to the other conversations. And this is just such a great way to network. So if you do swing by our table space and I'm not there, it's because I'm at a table talking with somebody else.
uh,
But that's the dynamic we really want to have, is that ability to be included in the conversations.
yeah. It's actually a really someone. I haven't gone to that many conferences, so I didn't even put that piece together. But yeah, everyone was in sessions and all that, and looking at stuff. I mean, it was pretty. Even having the booth and vendor, people wanted to learn as a vendor, which is super cool. And I think that it creates for a
Yeah.
really like authentic and kind of genuine experience. And I think there's a lot of value in that. And I always say it's San Diego in November, so like why not go from there? But even if you can't do that, right? Just that virtual, it speaks to how much you can get out of just being there virtually, with like tuning into the talks and all that. Because even when we're there, that's what everyone is doing. Not everyone is looking to leave, not go to the sessions. They were packed, right? Pretty much like the whole time. And then those roundtables are so fun. Like I hosted an automation one, and it was just cool to see my world, which is every day my world, people learning about LinkedIn automation and content marketing, and be like, wait, what is this? Like I didn't. And for me, it was just like it's what I do every day, right? But it's
Mhm.
like some people, it was new, and it was just I don't know, it was invigorating and inspiring because you could feel like your expertise can almost get stale, right? If you're in the weeds every day, and then kind of take
Right.
a step back, like, oh no, this is necessary. Like people are new to this and want to learn, especially with candidate experience, which is even a even bigger problem. Like there's always interest in like, okay, like people are used to complaining, but like how are we actually solving it? And like that's a way to kind of recapture the optimism and like, hey, there is hope around solving this problem.
Absolutely.
So
I'm counting on it.
yeah, yeah.
I'm bringing some of that hope with us.
Yeah, well, I love it. It's very much needed. In terms of kind of like your background, kind of ask like how the kind of the cliff notes on consulting or recruiting. I guess how would you say you kind of fell into recruiting? Kind of a little bit about kind of the background there.
Yeah, absolutely. So apparently there are transferable skills between teaching kindergarten and first grade,
Yeah,
which was my degree and my first 2 years of employment, and recruiting digital design engineers for Qualcomm in San Diego. So I'm not sure. I don't know that I could put the skill library together on what those are. I might take some guesses at it, but that was my first step into recruiting. And from there, I moved into recruiting systems at Qualcomm and then took on a couple of other in-house roles, but fell into consulting around process change, technology, and the overarching effects of positive candidate experience and recruiter engagement. And so I was with a couple of different consulting firms. I ultimately launched my own consulting firm in 2009, which was Talent Function. And I ran that through until we got acquired by CLO. And I was there for 4 years. In the midst of doing that, I was also one of the founders of the Talent Board, which is the Candidate Experience Awards. So I roped Jerry Crispin and Ed Newman into being founders of that program early on,
yeah.
and took that around the world for a couple of years, which was a lot of fun as chairman of that program. And then that wasn't enough, so I decided to step that one aside and launched a diversity and inclusion product for decreasing bias in the job description and in the candidate selection process. Sold that product. Ultimately, came back around to Doug saying, "Hey, don't you want to do it all over again?" And I said yes.
That's
So I'm back at it. I should be moving into the retirement mindset, and I'm nowhere close.
it's
So
the more I learn about it, the more I'm kind of like, why would I ever stop if I enjoy doing something? I think there's a harmony in it, right? Maybe the pie chart could look different, how you invest your time, at certain stages, but it's always fun to try to solve a problem.
yeah,
So I don't know. There's can only have so many margaritas on the beach before I get bored and want to do something. So
true.
yeah, I resonate with the story because I turned my wife, who was a third grade teacher, well, second grade, third grade teacher, all that education background, into a recruiter. She may or may not forgive me because once you have the bug, you have the bug. But a lot of those skills are transferred extremely well. Not to say that sometimes talking to candidates and clients is like talking to a third grader or second grader or first grader. So not calling
You
out
said it,
any
not me.
names. I'm not calling out any names, but you can blink twice if you agree. And it's, I think I just see it. It's just organization, the structure, managing 25 kids and then managing the parents and like everything else. You think about how many candidates could be in play and all that. Like it just
Right.
is so clear to me when I see it. I've benefited from her just from the organization piece and everything else. So it's I totally get it, and I totally see it. I'm a big believer in teachers making great recruiters. Uh, so yeah, I think that's just another proof point to that piece of it. So that's great. Any last while we're kind of wrapping things up? Any last points of wisdom, just about recruiting, the space today, Match2, about ERE that you want to share with listeners?
Oh wow, what a great loaded question.
I know.
So many possible answers. I think the biggest thing I would say for our industry is we just need to continue to stay curious
Yeah.
because there are new solutions that are coming out. I mean, just who would have predicted 10 years ago that we would be where we are now with generative AI and agentic AI and all the other tools that we have in front of us. And it's like it's this next frontier of really being successful with technology. And I think remembering who our audience is really important. Candidates are desperately looking for opportunities to improve their life, and it's a life change effort. And so, as we think about being stewards of those conversations, it's important that we remember where they're coming from. And I think any place where we can add tools like what we're doing with Match2 to make the candidate experience better, I think is only going to improve the recruiter experience and the corporation's reputation and ability to hire the best talent that they need to quickly.
I think that's well said, right? And I think you can't ever forget that they can't experience that there is a human, behind the screen trying to figure it out and trying to figure out where they're going to be next and make the right decision for themselves and their families. So I think it's great, and I'm excited to actually officially meet in person at San Diego this time and stop by the booth. And I will wait until you're actually there if talk. So, Elaine, appreciate you so much for being here. And again, if you're listening to this, check out Match2. We'll have the link in the episode description and check that out and learn more about it. So you could schedule, a demo or kind of whatever stage.
Mhm.
If you're in person, if you go to the event, which you should, stop by the booth. And if you're virtual, make sure, to check out the virtual booths as well. Those are pretty
Yes.
cool. And until next time, y'all, Lane, thank you for being here. And
Thank you.
and happy hunting to all our listeners out there, recruiting and otherwise. So appreciate you, and hopefully we'll see you in San Diego.